The hardest battles are the ones no one sees. A clock ticks steadily in the corner of a quiet community college classroom. Rain taps faintly against the windows. The overhead lights hum with fluorescent indifference. In the middle row, a woman sits motionless, shoulders squared, back impossibly straight, as if the weight of invisible armor still clings to her. Her name is Anna Castillo. On the surface, she is just another student. But beneath the calm, beneath the silence, something deeper churns. A history written not in textbooks but in trauma. Her fingers twitch slightly on the desk. Her eyes, dark and alert, scan the room not for answers, but for exits. She is not learning. She is enduring. And while the world outside moves on, oblivious, orderly, inside her, a storm waits. She has been trained to save lives. But what happens when the very system she defended becomes the enemy? The instructor, a well-meaning man named Mr. Albright, is demonstrating how to apply a basic pressure bandage to a plastic medical dummy. His voice is a placid monotone, explaining the fundamentals with painstaking simplicity. "Remember, students," he drones, "the goal is firm, consistent pressure. You don't want to cut off circulation, but you need to be firm." The classroom is quiet. The students nod, taking notes. But we, the audience, we see what they don't. For a fleeting, visceral moment, the scene shatters. The fluorescent lights dissolve into the blinding, sun-scorched haze of Kandahar. The sterile classroom walls become crumbling mud brick. Anna is 5 years younger, her face smudged with dirt and sweat, her uniform caked in dust. The plastic dummy is gone, replaced by a young soldier, a boy of no more than 19, his leg shredded by shrapnel. The air is a symphony of terror, gunfire, shouting, the percussive thump-thump-thump of an incoming chopper. Anna isn't a student here. She is Sergeant Castillo, an 18 Delta combat medic, and she is a master in a world of chaos. Her hands move with a fluid, terrifying grace. There is no hesitation. She applies a complex tourniquet, her voice cutting through the noise, calm and authoritative, reassuring the terrified soldier even as she saves his life. "Stay with me, son. I've got you. Just stay with me." We crash back to the present. The instructor is still talking. Anna hasn't moved, but a single bead of sweat traces a path down her temple. Her jaw is a hard line of tension. She has lived a lifetime of consequence in the span of a single breath. This classroom, meant to be a gateway to her future, feels like a prison of the past. This isn't education for her. It's a profound, soul-crushing insult. It's the system telling her that the life or death experience etched into her very being, the skills honed in the crucible of war, are nothing more than a blank slate. This feeling is crystallized in her next encounter with the Leviathan of bureaucracy, the State Medical Licensing Board. We see her standing at a worn linoleum counter, her complete military service record laid out between her and a man named Henderson. Henderson is not a villain. That would be too simple. He is something far more frustrating. He is a cog in an indifferent machine. He is in his 50s, with tired eyes and a practiced, patient demeanor that has weathered 1,000 arguments just like this one. He thumbs through her file, his finger tracing over commendations for valor, for life-saving actions under fire. The papers are a testament to a warrior's journey. Henderson barely skims them. "I have over 1,500 hours of documented trauma care in the field," Anna says, her voice tight, controlled. "I've intubated patients in moving vehicles, performed needle decompressions, managed massive hemorrhaging. It's all in there." Henderson offers a small, sympathetic sigh. "I see that, Sergeant Castillo, and we thank you for your service. We truly do." He turns a page in a thick 3-ring binder, the Bible of his world. However, the state of this great nation requires 600 hours of civilian classroom instruction and a supervised civilian internship. The protocols are different. Different, Anna's control phrase. An arterial bleed is an arterial bleed. Shock is shock. The human body doesn't change when it crosses an ocean. I understand your frustration, Henderson says, his voice unchanging. But the rules are in place to ensure a uniform standard of care. There are no provisions for military equivalency for this certification. I'm afraid you'll have to start from the beginning. He pushes an application form across the counter. You can sign up for the next semester at the community college. Your GI Bill should cover a portion of it. A portion of it. The final, quiet insult. She is being asked to pay thousands of dollars and spend months of her life to learn skills she could teach in her sleep. She looks from Henderson's placid face to the application form, a piece of paper that negates her entire identity. She doesn't see ink on a page. She sees a wall built of regulations and indifference, a wall that stands between who she is and who she is trying to become. She takes the form, her hand trembling almost imperceptibly, and walks out into the American sunlight. She has come home, but she is not home. She is a stranger in her own land, a hero without a place, a savior without permission to save. The system has welcomed her back with a parade of platitudes and a mountain of red tape. And as our first chapter in this incredible story closes, we are left to wonder, what happens when a hero's greatest battle is not against a foreign enemy, but against the very country she fought to protect? What happens when her greatest weapon, her skill, her experience, her very instinct to save, is the one thing she is forbidden to use? In the life of every person, there comes a moment of truth, a moment that strips away who we think we are and reveals who we truly are. It is rarely a moment we choose. More often, it is a moment that chooses us. For Anna Castillo, that moment was not waiting in a government office or a college classroom. It was waiting for her on a stretch of slick, rain-swept asphalt, in the horrifying shriek of twisting metal and shattering glass. Anna drives away from the licensing board, the useless application form on the passenger seat beside her, a symbol of her frustration. Her mind is a tempest of anger and despair. The world outside her windshield blurs through a film of rain and quiet fury. She is a trained, experienced medic being forced to drive rideshare to pay her rent. The injustice of it is a bitter pill, one she chokes on daily. She is so lost in this internal battle that she almost misses the chaos erupting just ahead. But a combat medic's senses are never truly dormant. Before her conscious mind can even process it, her body reacts. The screech of tires, the sickening crunch of impact. Her foot slams on the brake, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Time seems to slow, as it does in moments of extreme trauma. A blue minivan, a vehicle that screams suburban family, is struck by a delivery truck that hydroplaned across the center line. The minivan is thrown into a spin, a horrifying pirouette of violence, before it slams onto its side and grinds to a halt. Silence descends for a half second, a vacuum of shock, before it is filled with the sound of a car horn, stuck and blaring, and the first terrified screams of onlookers. Traffic is instantly paralyzed. Anna is 3 cars back. Through her rain-streaked windshield, she can see the overturned vehicle. She hears sirens in the far distance, a mournful cry that is miles and minutes away. But her eyes, her trained, practiced eyes, see what matters most. She sees movement inside the van. Then she sees the dark, rapid spread of red against the driver's side window, an arterial bleed. A voice in her head, cold and pragmatic, calculates the odds. Femoral artery, most likely. Given that rate of bleed, she has 3, maybe 4 minutes. The ambulance will be at least 10. She will die. It is not a guess. It is a diagnosis. And then another voice joins in. It is the voice of Henderson, the bureaucrat. You are not licensed to practice medicine in this state. You will be held liable. You are not authorized. This is the crucible. This is her point of no return. For a second that stretches into an eternity, Anna is torn. On one side, everything she stands to lose, her savings, her future, the potential for a career, her freedom. She could face lawsuits, even criminal charges. She could lose everything she has worked for since coming home. On the other side, the life of a stranger, a woman who will die, right here, right now, unless Anna acts. We see the conflict play out on her face. The frustration, the anger, the fear, it all melts away. It is burned off by something more powerful, more primal. It is the core of her being, the identity forged in the fires of Kandahar. The voice of Sergeant Castillo, the healer, the savior, speaks loudest. You do not let your patient die. The choice is made. It is no longer a choice, but an imperative. Anna throws her car into park, ignoring the blaring horns behind her. She vaults out of the driver's side door and runs to her trunk. She throws it open, her movements no longer hesitant, but sharp, economical, and filled with purpose. She pulls out a well-worn emergency medical kit, her personal kit, the one thing she carries with her everywhere, a relic of her former life. As she runs towards the wreck, the world of civilian paralysis parts before her. People are standing, filming with their phones, their faces masks of horror and inaction. They are bystanders. Anna is not. Someone call 911 and tell them there's a critical arterial bleed and we need a life flight now, she barks, her voice the familiar sound of command. A man fumbles with his phone, nodding dumbly. She reaches the minivan. The driver, a woman in her 40s named Sarah, is pinned, her eyes wide with terror. Blood is everywhere. Anna doesn't see the chaos. She sees the problem. She assesses the wound, the flow, the time she has left. My name is Anna, I'm a medic, she says, her voice firm but reassuring, locking eyes with the terrified woman. I'm going to help you. What's your name? Sarah, the woman gasps. Okay, Sarah, we're going to stop this bleeding. Using a bystander's belt, Anna expertly fashions a makeshift tourniquet high on Sarah's thigh, cinching it with a tire iron someone hands her. She directs another bystander, a young man in a business suit, where to apply direct pressure. Her hands are sure. Her instructions are clear. She is a portrait of focused, life-saving competence. In this moment of screaming metal and blood, Anna Castillo is finally completely home. The wail of the sirens grows closer. The paramedics arrive, their faces grim as they take in the scene. One of them, a young man, sees Anna's handiwork, the perfectly applied tourniquet, and his eyes widen in respect. Good work, he mouths. But the lead paramedic, a grizzled veteran of the streets, shoulders her aside. All right, we'll take it from here. As they load Sarah onto a gurney, a police officer approaches Anna. He's holding a notepad. Ma'am, I need your name. Anna Castillo, she says, the adrenaline beginning to fade, leaving a cold tremor in its place. The officer jots it down. He looks up, his expression not of gratitude, but of professional caution. Ma'am, you know you shouldn't have done that, right? You're not a certified paramedic in this state. You just opened yourself up to a whole world of trouble. Anna looks from the officer's impassive face to the ambulance as its doors close, carrying the woman whose life she just saved. The gap, the chasm between her action and its consequence, has just cracked wide open. She did the only thing a hero could do, and in the eyes of the law, she has become a criminal. This was her moment of truth, her point of no return. And as she stands in the rain, the flashing lights washing over her, she realizes her battle for a place in the world has just begun. An act of heroism should be a period at the end of a sentence. A life is saved. The story concludes. But in the real world, an act of heroism is often just the beginning of another, more insidious conflict. It's a rock thrown into the placid waters of bureaucracy, and the ripples can threaten to drown you. For Anna Castillo, saving a life was the easy part. The hard part was surviving the aftermath. The officer's warning at the crash site was not an idle threat. It was a prophecy. A week later, a certified letter arrives at Anna's small apartment. It is not a commendation from the city. It is a formal notice from the state licensing board. Her actions have been reported. An official investigation has been opened into her unlicensed practice of medicine. The letter is cold, clinical, and filled with legal jargon, but its message is brutally clear. We warned you. You crossed a line. It ends with a formal order to cease and desist all activities that could be construed as medical care. It is a gag order on her very soul. This letter is the first volley from a system that feels challenged, and a challenged bureaucracy does not question its own rules. It reinforces them. It digs in. Anna is no longer just an applicant with an insufficient file. She is now a problem to be managed. Her world, already small, begins to shrink even further. The part-time rideshare job feels like a mockery. The bills on her kitchen table, rent, utilities, the tuition for the paramedic course she still has to pay for, are a growing stack of anxieties. We see her at night, unable to sleep, cleaning her medical kit with obsessive precision, the tools of her trade, a silent testament to the skills she is forbidden to use. The isolation she has felt since returning home deepens, becoming a palpable, suffocating presence. In a moment of desperation, she reaches out to the only community she feels she has left. She calls an old army buddy, a fellow medic named Dave, someone who was always the optimist. Dave, it's Anna. Annie, how the hell are you? I heard you were back in the States. You practicing yet? Showing these civilian guys how it's done? Anna hesitates. Not exactly. I'm hitting some snags with the licensing board. The optimism in Dave's voice deflates. Ah, man. The wall, right? They tell you your field experience doesn't count for squat. That's the one, she says, a sliver of hope in her voice. How did you get past it? What's the trick? There's a long pause on the other end of the line. When Dave speaks again, his voice is weary. There is no trick, Annie. I fought them for a year, spent my savings on lawyers. They don't care. They just wait you out. They have all the time in the world, and we don't. So what did you do? Anna asks, dreading the answer. I gave up, Dave says, his voice flat. I'm a foreman at a warehouse now. Pays the bills. He tries for a laugh, but it comes out hollow. The only medical supplies I handle these days are the Band-Aids in the first aid kit on the wall. Anna hangs up the phone, a cold dread seeping into her bones. Dave, the optimist, the one who always found a way, was broken by this very system. He is a ghost of her potential future. This is her new, terrifying risk. Not just failing to get a license, but losing her very spirit in the fight, ending up a shell of her former self. Her life-saving hands relegated to stocking shelves. We all know what it's like to feel unheard, to feel like you're shouting into a void. It's a deeply human frustration. If you've ever felt that way, or if Anna's story is striking a chord with you, let us know in the comments below. Sometimes, just knowing you're not alone is the first step toward finding your strength. For Anna, that conversation is the breaking point. She realizes she cannot win this fight by following the rules. The rules are designed for her to lose. She has to change the game. She makes a new, riskier choice. She decides to go public. She calls a local television station, speaks to an ambitious young reporter, a woman named Jessica Wells. Anna believes, with a fierce and desperate hope, that if people just hear the truth, if they see the absurdity of the situation, they will demand change. She believes in the fundamental fairness of the American people. The news story airs a few days later. Anna watches it on her small television, her stomach in knots. The segment begins just as she'd hoped, with the dramatic details of the crash, painting her as a hero. But then, the story pivots. The reporter, Jessica Wells, introduces the other side. But some are asking, Wells says in a serious voiceover, if Ms. Castillo's actions, however well-intentioned, set a dangerous precedent. The face of Henderson, the board clerk, fills the screen. He looks directly into the camera, calm and reasonable. The state has protocols for a reason, he says smoothly. They are there to protect the public from harm. We cannot have untrained individuals performing medical procedures at accident scenes. It can lead to tragedy. Untrained. The word hangs in the air, a poisoned dart. The report cuts back to the reporter. While no one disputes that Ms. Castillo is a decorated veteran, she concludes, the question remains, is she a highway hero or a reckless renegade? The story ends. Anna sits in the stunned silence of her apartment, the television screen reflecting her own shocked face. The gap has opened wider than ever before. Her attempt to find an ally in the public has backfired spectacularly. She hasn't just been ignored. Her own story has been twisted and used as a weapon against her. The system hasn't just dismissed her. It has branded her. It has painted her not as a hero, but as a threat. She is more isolated, more misunderstood, and in more danger than ever before. The system isn't just a wall anymore. It's an active, hostile force, and it has just declared war. There is a point in every great struggle where the darkness feels absolute. It is the moment when all avenues of escape seem closed, when allies have become adversaries, and when the will to fight begins to flicker and die. This is the crucible where true character is forged, not in the heat of action, but in the cold silence of defeat. For Anna Castillo, that moment had arrived. The system had not just pushed back, it had publicly vilified her. The hero had been recast as the villain, and the weight of that lie was crushing her. We find Anna in her apartment. The television is off. The notice from the licensing board sits on her table, next to a stack of unpaid bills. Her medical kit is closed, pushed into a corner, as if in disgrace. For the first time, we see her truly defeated. She is scrolling through job listings on a cheap laptop. Menial jobs, warehouse work, delivery driver. Anything that doesn't require a license, a certification, a permission slip from the world that has rejected her. She is contemplating the future her friend Dave had described, a future of quiet surrender. The fight has gone out of her, and then a knock at the door. Sharp, confident, not the sound of a process server or a nosy neighbor. Anna opens the door to a woman in her late 60s. She is impeccably dressed, her bearing erect and commanding, her eyes sharp with an intelligence that seems to miss nothing. There is a quiet but immense power about her. Ms. Castillo, the woman asks, her voice calm and measured. My name is Evelyn Reed. My daughter, Sarah, was the woman in the minivan. May I come in? Stunned into silence, Anna steps aside. Judge Evelyn Reed enters the small apartment, her presence seeming to fill the entire space. She takes in the Spartan tidiness, the military commendations hanging on the wall, and finally, Anna herself. "My daughter is alive today because of you." The judge begins, her voice devoid of sentimentality, a simple statement of fact. "She has told me everything that happened. I, on the other hand, have been dealing with the administrative fallout." She looks at the cease and desist letter on the table. "I've seen the news report. I've spoken with Mr. Henderson at the licensing board. I understand the situation." A flicker of Anna's old fire returns. "Then you understand, it's a joke." "No," the judge says, her gaze unwavering. "A joke is funny. This is a disgrace. It is a systemic failure of the highest order." Relief washes over Anna, so powerful it almost buckles her knees. For the first time since this ordeal began, someone in a position of power sees the truth. "What happens now?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper. This is where the story pivots once more. This is the moment of the final, most difficult choice. "I can make this go away," Judge Reed says. "The investigation will be dropped. Any threat of a lawsuit will vanish. I will have a private word with the board, and a provisional license will be issued to you within the week, pending a final review." She pauses, letting the weight of the offer settle in the room. It is everything Anna has been fighting for. But, the judge continues, for this to work smoothly, it will require a certain finesse. The board needs to save face. They will need a gesture from you, a quiet, formal letter of apology for overstepping your professional bounds in a moment of crisis. It's a meaningless formality, a political game. You write the letter, and this is all over. And there it is. The crisis, the ultimate dilemma. It is a brilliant temptation. It is the offer of peace, of victory, of an end to the fight. All it costs is one small lie, a single compromise, a quiet bending of the knee to the very system that wronged her. She can have her license, her career, her future, if she is willing to concede, just once, that she was somehow in the wrong. We see the war in Anna's eyes. The exhausted soldier in her wants to accept. The pragmatic civilian wants to take the deal. Who wouldn't? It's the smart play, the easy way out. But the medic, the healer, the unshakable core of her being, rebels. To apologize would be to invalidate the very act that defines her. It would be an admission that the rules are more important than a life. It would be a betrayal of every soldier she ever treated, and of Sarah, the woman she saved. Anna takes a deep breath. She looks not at a powerful judge, but at the mother of the woman whose life she held in her hands. "Your Honor," she says, and her voice is no longer tired, but rings with a newfound quiet strength. "I appreciate your offer more than you know, but I can't do it. I will not apologize for saving your daughter's life. I did nothing wrong. The system is what's wrong. The policy is wrong. And I won't sign my name to a lie that says it's right. She has made her choice. She has chosen her integrity over her ambition. She has risked her one and only powerful ally for the sake of the truth." Judge Evelyn Reed stares at Anna, a long, unreadable silence stretching between them. Anna braces for the disappointment, the withdrawal of the offer. But instead, the judge's stern features soften, replaced by a look of profound, undisguised respect. A slow smile touches her lips. "I was a prosecutor for 20 years before I became a judge, Ms. Castillo," she says. "I've learned that a person's true character is revealed when they choose the hard right over the easy wrong." She stands up, her decision made. "I was offering you a way to navigate the system, but you're right. It's long past time someone fixed it." Her voice is now cold steel. "Forget the letter. We're going to do this another way. We are going to fight them, not in the back rooms, but in the light of day, and we are going to win. In that moment, an alliance is forged. It is no longer just Anna's fight. It has become the judge's cause. The personal struggle has just become a public crusade, and the indifferent system, the great slumbering leviathan of bureaucracy, is about to get a very rude awakening. Justice is not a destination. It is a fight. It is not something given, but something taken, forged in the court of public opinion, and hammered into shape by the force of an undeniable truth. For Anna Castillo and her new formidable ally, Judge Evelyn Reed, the fight was no longer about a single license. It was about changing the law. And the first battle would be fought not with paperwork, but with television cameras. The scene is the steps of the state courthouse, an edifice of granite and authority. A forest of microphones and cameras is assembled, a pack of reporters buzzing with anticipation. Judge Reed had called a major press conference, and when a sitting judge speaks, the media listens. Judge Reed steps to the podium, Anna Castillo at her side. The judge is in her element, her voice calm, authoritative, and sharp as a scalpel. She does not begin with a defense of Anna. She begins with an indictment of the system. We are a state that prides itself on honoring our veterans, she begins, her voice carrying across the courthouse plaza. We offer them parades and plaques. We thank them for their service. But what does that gratitude mean when it is followed by a dismissal of the very skills we, as a nation, paid to teach them? What does it mean when a combat medic, a hero who saved American lives on the battlefield, is told that her experience is worthless here at home? She lets the question hang in the air. Then she gestures to a young woman standing beside her, a woman with a cane and a fresh scar on her leg, but whose eyes are filled with life and gratitude. "This is my daughter, Sarah," the judge says, her voice softening for just a moment. A few weeks ago, she was bleeding to death, trapped in a car on the side of a highway. The paramedics were minutes away. She was dying, and she is alive today for one reason, and one reason only. Sergeant Anna Castillo refused to let her die. A murmur ripples through the press corps. The cameras zoom in on Anna, then on Sarah, who gives Anna a grateful smile. The reporter, Jessica Wells, the one who had framed Anna as a renegade, now finds herself on the back foot. She asks the first question, her tone now deferential. "Judge, are you saying the state board's regulations are putting lives at risk?" "I am not saying it. I am declaring it," the judge fires back. "I am here today to ask a very simple question of the licensing board, of our state legislature, and of every citizen of this state. Which of you, if you were the one bleeding to death, would check a hero's paperwork before letting them save you?" The question is a rhetorical masterstroke. It is unanswerable. It cuts through every regulation, every statute, every line of red tape. At that moment, a flustered-looking Henderson, the clerk from the licensing board, is hustled in front of a camera by a reporter. He stammers about protocols and public safety, but his words sound hollow, absurd in the face of the living, breathing young woman who stands as proof of his policy's failure. The battle for public opinion is over. It has been a rout. The irreversible change has happened. The system, so long an unassailable wall, has been publicly broken. From this climax, the resolution unfolds, not as a single event, but as a series of victories that ripple outwards. We see a montage, newspaper headlines screaming, "Judge champions Anna's law." A televised legislative session where the new bill, fast-tracking veteran medical credentialing, is passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. Then, a quiet, powerful scene. We are not at a public ceremony, but in the judge's private chambers. The lighting is warm, intimate. Judge Reed, Anna, and Sarah are there. The judge doesn't have a clerk deliver the license. She takes the official document with its embossed seal and hands it to Anna herself. "This is not a gift, Sergeant," the judge says. "It is something you earned twice over. Once in the service of your country, and once by reminding us what that service truly means." For Anna, it is more than a license. It is the restoration of her dignity. It is the validation of her identity. But the story does not end there. Because a true victory isn't just about winning your own battle. It's about making sure others don't have to fight it. The final scene opens not with words, but with silence. A classroom, the same hum of fluorescent lights, the same rows of plastic chairs. But at the front of the room now stands Anna Castillo, not as a student, but as a teacher. Her stance is calm, grounded. The weight she once carried has become presence. In front of her, a room full of veterans. Their faces are varied, young, old, scarred, watchful, but their eyes all carry the same quiet question. Do I still have something to give? Anna meets their gaze. She doesn't give them inspiration. She gives them truth. The body doesn't care where you learned to stop the bleeding, she says, but the world does. So here we are, to bridge that gap. She pauses. No slogans, no hero worship, just purpose. You've already proven yourselves. Now we make them see it. The camera lingers on her face, no longer searching for a place, but anchored in it. Then, a slow pan across the room, nodding heads, steady hands, something unspoken rising in the air. This isn't a classroom. It's the beginning of a movement. Fade to black. Title card, inspired by true stories. Anna Castillo's story is a powerful reminder that true justice is not about following rules, but about doing what is right. It teaches us that a hero's worth is not defined by a piece of paper, but by their actions in the moments that matter. It shows that one person's courage, one person's refusal to compromise their integrity, can indeed challenge a broken system and, in the end, change the world for the better. Stories like this are the reason NX Incredible Stories exists. They are more than just entertainment. They are a reflection of our deepest values. If you believe in the power of these stories, like this video to show your support and subscribe to our channel. Join our community as we continue to explore the incredible stories of ordinary people who, when faced with extraordinary challenges, show us the true meaning of heroism.